90s nostalgia. I'm personally full of it, but so are racing developers at the moment too. There's a big trend at the moment of going back to the 90s arcade feel, grabbing those chonky polygons and dragging them kicking and screaming into the 21st century. I've been really enjoying it, but there's a real balance to be had around nailing that aesthetic and really going with it, but also bringing that arcade drivability and fun gameplay along for the ride too. Some games are more successful than others, and Formula Bit Racing is a game that I picked up basically to look at just this. It's down at the cheaper end of the scale at £3.99 on PC, and it's made by a solo developer, but whilst it nails the aesthetic, and I really enjoy how it looks and feels, running at 60 frames per second and really nailing that no poly visual, it doesn't quite scratch that itch that I was hoping for that an arcade racer would, and I want to explain why. Formula Bit Racing has a selection of different coloured cars and 20 tracks for you to race around. Those 20 tracks may initially sound great, but they're all designed around long motorway straights and those 90-degree corners that you would get at the Phoenix USA Grand Prix of 1991 and 1990 and so on. So what it ends up being is that although you get these tracks reskinned and to look into different environments, none of which match the country of which the race was supposed to be taking part in, may I add. Why is Spain in the snow and alpine region? All of the tracks start to feel very similar because they're all chicane left, right, and occasionally you'll get some hairpins and sometimes you'll get long straights and so on and so forth. The tracks are divided up into 4 different categories from junior through to master rank, but actually the difficulty of the tracks do not match up with that at all. So it's not as if you're getting into more twistier, turnier or trickier tracks later on in the game. It's just spread out randomly. How you then win at that depends on the difficulty level that you've chosen, either medium or hard, and the type of car that you choose. Each car is graded on top speed, its ability to boost repeatedly as quick as possible, its ability to steer, and its drifting ability. Now, it must be said that drift is used in the most loosest term here, because actually, where you're using 90-degree turns constantly, it is very rare that you would ever drift at all in this game, and in fact, during my time of driving, I didn't drift at all. The game also puts things very much in your favour, even on hard mode, because whilst you have the ability to boost and it recharges at the bottom of the screen repeatedly goes for it, none of the AI competitors will boost with you. And so you have an inherent advantage which helps you if you've got a car that you've picked that's better at turn-in than straight line speed. But if you've gone for the straight line speed car, you absolutely muller the rest of the competition and you are uncatchable so long as you can drive around 90-degree corners. That in itself then completely negates all of the challenge of Formula Bit Racing and makes it somewhat of an empty non-event. And that's a real shame because the car sticks like glue to the road and handles quite nicely. I really enjoyed the fact that you've got 3 different views depending on which type of retro game you fancy. You can have the isometric fun, which I personally enjoy. You've got top-down perspectives if you want to go for the Satoru Nakajima style old school racing games, or you can go from right behind as if you was doing like the Nigel Mansell Grand Prix or Ayrton Senna Monaco Grand Prix style stuff. And I really enjoyed all of that, and it shows that the developer is aware of the tropes and the history and the nostalgia that they're trying to tap into. But if the game is an absolute cakewalk, it makes it really difficult for you to kind of recommend it, because within an hour, I'd done the game. Well within an hour as well. Races take under 2 minutes because it's 3 laps of the same type of 90-degree corner circuit. And yeah, there is just no challenge. I tried to play the game without a boost, but all I ended up doing was just picking one of the cars with the better straight line speeds, and I'd be able to keep up with the AI and then out-corner them anyway. It's not as if the AI are slow, it's just that they are lacking that advantage because they don't have the boost. It's such a weird design decision that absolutely negates the game at all. There is also a couple of technical difficulties with Formula Bit Racing 2 that I came across. Its collision detection, not with other cars, but with the environment around it, is hit and miss. Pardon the pun. And it's specifically around curbs. So some curbs you can drive over and there's nothing takes place with your car at all. Others, it will act as if it's pushed you into the air or stop you dead. And that's really quite irksome because there's no rhyme or reason to it, as the same curb will do different things on different laps. The other thing I found as well is that after a boost, sometimes the game would then halt your car, as if it was kind of resetting where it thinks you should be in the game, and it's running like a few frames behind. And the longer that I played the game, I did start to feel like I was dropping frames on a couple of the circuits, and then it would kind of catch back up again. It was like a weird version of screen tearing, but not quite. So all of these things combined lead me to not recommend Formula Bit Racing, but there's a decent foundation there should the developer want to sit and tweak and change on things over time, maybe add in a bit more of a balance of a difficulty layer. There is no multiplayer in this game, it is single player only, and maybe that would improve some of the fun as well, even if it was just local. But yeah, this one I'm afraid does not live up to the expectations or the hopes or dreams that I had for it. A written review will be over on higherplanegames.com. Until next time, keep it interesting and exciting. And I have to say, the most fun game of this type of variety that's came out recently is Hot Shots Racing, which I've got on PS4, and that absolutely nails that proper retro, chunky polygon aesthetic, with tons of gameplay features and a real proper beefy challenge too. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.